Good morning. This is Jamie with Stillmeyer Games, and welcome to the weekly live cast for Stillmeyer Games News, for me to answer your questions about anything you want to ask, and for me to share and discuss random topics like gaming, my cats, you can see Walter behind me there, and any other random stuff that's going on in my life. Today's big news is that it is our monthly e-newsletter day and our Tapestry pre-order day, or Tapestry expansion plans employees pre-order day. This is on our website now. Oh, I should post a link. Here, I'll post a link in the description below. This will probably be the first comment, I think, from me. Second comment. Tom beat me to the punch. Second comment is a link to the e-newsletter, which has links to where you can pre-order this from Stillmeyer Games. We have received this at our Canadian fulfillment center, and it is within a few days of our fulfillment centers in the US, Australia, and the UK. And so it'll begin shipping next week for most people, and then, or for many people, depends on how many orders we get. It'll probably take a few weeks for our fulfillment centers to get through the orders. And it'll start shipping to people in Canada, Canadian champions in particular, this week, or at least it should. Maybe early next week, depending on how they process the orders. But I'm really excited about this. Really, really excited that, I've been talking about this for a month and working on this for quite some time. So I'm excited to get you to get this in your hands so you can try it out. There are reviews on our website if you want to check out any of the reviews. Hopefully I haven't missed any reviews there that came in just today, but we'll see if there's any over there. I see George is joining us. I want to say, since George is here, George sent me some chocolate. So this is the chocolate of the day, this 70% dark chocolate. Really, really delicious. He sent me actually two of these packs and one other one, and I'm finishing up the first pack with dark chocolate from Venezuela. Really, really good. Thank you, George, for sending this to me. I love trying chocolate from around the world, and I really appreciate you thinking of me and sending this over. Both Megan and I have enjoyed that chocolate. So that is today's chocolate of the day. What is your treat of the day if you have a special treat that you are eating today? And I actually have a little note that I thought of while I was talking about that. I need to check to see if any late reviews for Tapestry expansion came out and add them to our website. Not late. Late is the wrong word there. Any reviews that I didn't check for this morning that I need to add to our website so we can share those reviewers with people like you. Let's see if I have any questions in the comments here that I need to address. Brian, sounds like you have a customer service question about the cart, so this is not a great place for me to help with customer service stuff, but if you contact Joe at contact@stillmeyergames.com, I'm sure he'll be able to help you out with that. You say that you tried to buy the expansion, but when you add it to your cart, nothing happens. That sounds like it might be, like I know that we are getting orders very actively for this expansion. So you might want to restart your computer. I don't know, something on your end where you can refresh your browser, try it on a different device, your computer instead of your phone or vice versa. And if that doesn't work, contact Joe at contact@stillmeyergames.com. Mathiels, I'm probably mispronouncing that name, sorry about that, says, can you show us your painted minis from Scythe? I don't have them on hand here. I did show them on a video a little while ago. I don't know which one at this point. But I do have painted miniatures from Scythe that were given to me by the person who paints minis for MeepleSource, or one of the people that paints minis for MeepleSource. And Justin paints minis for them, and he gifted me, or maybe he or MeepleSource gifted me with a set of painted miniatures. They're beautiful. I don't have them on hand right now, though. Joe asked, have I seen Tenet yet? And no, I have not. I am really excited to see it, but I must admit I am really hesitant to go to a movie theater right now. As much as I love movies and love the movie theater experience, I'm pretty hesitant to do that right now. So I haven't seen it yet, unfortunately. Martin Poole is joining us. Good morning, Martin. Mario says, speaking of fulfillment centers, how will the EU shipment be affected post-Brexit? From what I've heard from Spiral Galaxy, which is the fulfillment center in the UK that we use, they have a great plan to address that. I don't even understand all the nuances of the plan, but from my perspective as the publisher, they said it will be seamless. And from the consumer perspective, it will also be seamless. They are taking care of everything that is needed to make that happen. I don't know exactly how they're doing it, but they are handling it. And maybe I'll dig deeper into that when they need to start doing that. They might already be doing it for all I know, but it's been a seamless behind-the-scenes process. Beth says, any update on when Wingspan will be available on Switch? Beth, I did have a little update in the e-newsletter this week. The information I get is just from the digital developer. We are not the digital developer for the game. We license it to a different company. And Monster Couch told me they shared a new trailer with me, and that I put in the e-newsletter. And in that e-newsletter, it mentions that Wingspan, the Wingspan digital game, will be available on Switch not on Switch, on Steam on September 17th. That's what they're aiming for. They don't have dates yet for the Switch, iOS, or Android, but they are working on it, and they said it shouldn't be too far behind September 17th, but we'll see. And it does take a lot of work to get it on different platforms. Joe has homemade cookies. Lucky you, Joe. Nice. Let's see. Martin says, we're using Spiral Galaxy again. We are, yeah. They're our main fulfillment center in Europe, or really the only one that we've worked with for quite some time because they're awesome. Patrick says that he got his copy of Clans of Caledonia today. How heavy is this game in your opinion? Is it up there with Gaia Project? No, I would not say it's up there with Gaia Project. I would say that's kind of a good thing. Clans of Caledonia does have, a few different things to remember and a lot of depth to the game. It's some great asymmetry. But on your turn, what you're doing on your turn is very simple. I love how Juma, I think, distilled it down to a very simple thing. You were spending some money on your turn to do one action, almost always. There are a few actions that are slightly different than that, but I would say it's on the weight of Terra Mystica, maybe even slightly lighter than Terra Mystica. But it's a fantastic game, and I'd recommend, I'm glad that you have a hard copy, but I'd also recommend it on Board Game Arena, where they have a great implementation of it. Good morning, Chris Goodlet. Good to see you here. Jared says, when coming up with expansions... Oh, wait, after this, I'll launch into a few of my topics. I'm going to answer questions and go over there. Jared says, when coming up with expansions, do you have them in mind when developing the original game? The answer to that is no. And are they aspects of the original game that you had to remove or take out? No. Or do they come to mind after the game is released? Usually after the game is not necessarily released, but after I finish sending the first game to the manufacturer, and I usually take a break and then I come back and think about expansions. And to expand on the second part of that question a little bit, I usually put everything into the core game that I think will make it as fun and intuitive and balanced and awesome as possible. I don't cut stuff and hold on to it for expansions if I think it's really fun and awesome. And all the stuff that I cut I've cut it because it's not fun or awesome. And so that doesn't go into the expansion either. So usually I completely revisit the core game with a fresh perspective to say, what do I want to see in this core game to make it even better? Or make it different, make it more variable. I have different goals that come to mind after I approach it with a fresh perspective, and after I hear from people who have played the core game, beyond playtesters, people who have played the published version of it, to hear what they think about it and what they're looking for in expansions. Yeah. Jared also says, what board games do you want to see expansions for? I love games that add like new maps. An example of this, I'm looking over at my shelf and I see Downforce. I love Downforce expansions because it's just usually add a new course, which adds a little variety to the game without adding a lot of rules overhead. What are some other games I would like to see an expansion for? I don't know. I usually really, if I love a core game, I'm really, really happy with the core game, and I don't necessarily even need an expansion for it. I can't see any offhand that are really coming to mind right now that I would have that thought about. I'm looking over here on my shelf. You can't see this off camera. And this reminds me of one topic that I wanted to delve into a little bit today, which is not about the Tapestry expansion, but someone in Australia who I think is sleeping right now, Carrie, emailed a few questions to me about the viticulture design story, how viticulture came to light. And Carrie, I would say there's a video called A Brief History of Stonemaier Games that I recommend watching. I have a lot of stuff in there about the story. But a very brief version of it is in 2011, well, even going back a little bit more, I've designed games as a hobby my whole life, but I hadn't really done anything with it professionally or even as a serious hobby until 2011 when I started to see games do well on Kickstarter. And I thought, I'll apply this, my love of Kickstarter, my fascination with Kickstarter and entrepreneurship with my love of game design, and I'll design a game to put on Kickstarter. And so I started working on viticulture. I thought the theme and the Euro mechanisms, I thought it might do well on Kickstarter. This was back in 2011. And Carrie asked a few questions about the design story of viticulture like? Was there ever any point with viticulture where I thought this game just isn't good enough, I need to get rid of it and work on another game? And there were moments like that through playtesting, but I was basically designing it with a goal in mind to put it on Kickstarter. And so there wasn't a point throughout the design process where I thought I'm going to desert this. There were plenty of points in the design process where I thought this isn't very good. And so that's why I kept on working on it and changing it. It changed quite a bit from the early version to what the version was that I put on Kickstarter. Carrie had one other question about, I think you asked, how did I know when it was good enough to put on Kickstarter? And it was based largely on gut feeling at that point. I didn't know much about blind playtesting, so a lot of it was local playtesting with me and Alan and a few other people. Alan was my co-founder of Stonemaier Games. And so a lot of it at that point for the first game was gut feel. But I would not recommend solely relying on that and local playtesting for any game design. Carrie, if you're looking for game design advice, I would look a lot more towards blind playtesting and how you're getting results and feedback and ratings from blind playtesters who are playtesting your game, and add that to your gut feeling. Thank you for that question, Carrie, about viticulture. Let me jump back over to the topics here in a second. Yeah, but I love answering questions. Even if you're not able to attend these Facebook Lives, you can send me questions that you want me to answer on them, or reply in the comments on YouTube, where I'll put this video afterward, and I'm happy to answer there. Same goes if I miss any of the questions in the comments over here. Gerald says, I think one of your older blog posts said not to sell your own game below MSRP, as distributors and stores don't like that. Have I changed my mind about this? I have, yeah. For a couple different reasons. The main reason this year being COVID. I think people's budgets are changing in the short term and perhaps in the long term. And in good conscience, I couldn't continue to sell our games at full MSRP on our website. A lot of our games. Some of them are, but a lot of them aren't. And I've changed this, not necessarily as a permanent measure, but definitely while the coronavirus is having a huge economic impact on the US and the world. I think it's the right thing to do to offer lower prices on our games. The other thing that's changing for me, in my opinion, a little bit is that I want retailers. I love what retailers bring to our games. I love what distributors do in selling our games, but I see them as partners and not competitors. People who buy on our website are choosing to do that because they want to buy games directly from us, and I want to respect that that's their choice. And I also want to respect people who buy from distributors. So I want to make games that work well, not from distributors, from retailers. So I want to respect both. Wherever you want to buy your games, I want to respect that. And one of the things that I have control over on our web store is how we price our games. And for a game like Tapestry, for example, Tapestry needs to have a $99 MSRP based on the manufacturing cost of the game and the discount with which we sell it to distributors, but our margin is much better than that when we're selling directly to consumers. It doesn't need to be the MSRP on our website, and so that's why Tapestry, for example, is discounted on our web store, and other products are too. Yeah. Chris says, what are Biddy and Walter up to today? Well, Biddy was under my desk, and Walter was eating food before this. I think they were hanging out in the hallway a little bit earlier. Yeah, nothing too exciting yet, but we'll find out. It's plenty of day ahead of us for them to go on some adventures. Sean says, what's new for viticulture? Well, Sean, you may have seen it in the e-newsletter that I've started to hint at the possibility of a viticulture expansion next year, possibly next year. We'll see if it's ready for next year, but it's something that we've been working on internally, and I am confident enough at this point in what's happening with it that I was confident enough to share it on the e-newsletter. I won't go into details at this point because it could change quite a bit, but the version that is existing right now is something that I'm pretty happy with. Still needs a lot of work though. Kiara recommends Rurik Dawn of Kiev the expansion on Kickstarter. Unique auction worker programming mechanism. Cool. Yeah, I've heard great things about Rurik, but I haven't had the chance to play it yet. Christian says, I haven't opened the Tapestry box for a while. Is there space for plans employees? Because of the landmark miniatures, no, there definitely isn't space unless you remove the original insert for Tapestry. So there's definitely the flexibility there. If you want everything in one box, you can definitely remove that insert, The landmarks are sturdy; they're going to hold up without the insert, and you can definitely store both the expansion. You can probably anything that we ever create for Tapestry. The box is big enough if you remove that insert. Yeah. Chris says, when will we hear about the Wingspan Biddy and Walter expansion? I'd love to get Biddy and Walter in as an Easter egg in Wingspan someday, but it'll have to make sense. Maybe it'll be a promo pack or something, but there's no such thing as a Biddy and Walter expansion. One of the big news topics that I wanted to mention before I get too deep into this live cast is that we have a new employee. I have a new coworker. His name is Alex Schmidt. And basically, we have brought distribution brokerage in-house at Stonemaier Games, and we've hired Alex to handle that. Alex will also be working directly with retailers and our localization partners. There's a long story about this on the blog. If you want to check out the Stonemaier Games blog, you can see the story of how this came to be and what all this means. But the short version is that we have worked with a great company called Greater Than Games, also in St. Louis, for warehousing, fulfillment, freight shipping, and distribution brokerage for the last 6 years, which means that whenever we have a new product or we have a product in stock, they let distributors know that we have it in stock. They handle a transaction, so they'll handle the invoice between the distributor if the distributor wants to buy some of that product, and they make sure that it is shipped from their warehouse to that distributor. But we decided to take that in-house. And Alex worked at Greater Than Games and was mainly the liaison between Stonemaier Games and Greater Than Games. And he will continue that role, but he'll work for us now instead of for Greater Than Games. Alex is also a friend. He's been in my gaming group for a few years. He's a great person, wonderful communicator, and also a talented game designer. I've actually been co-designing a game with Alex that should release in 2021. So I'm very excited to have Alex on board at Stonemaier Games. Yesterday was his first official day working for us, but he's been kind of doing quite a bit of work for us over the last month during the transition period from Greater Than Games to Stonemaier Games. And we also still have a great relationship with Greater Than Games. They're still our warehouse, they're still our fulfillment center, our freight shipping company from the US, and great people there. I highly recommend their games if you are familiar with like Spirit Island, Sentinels in the Multiverse, and they did a great job as our distribution broker. So if you are a publisher looking for a broker, they might be someone to explore. Nathan says that Stonemaier Games... Oh, actually, Nathan had a question just about this. I didn't even know this. Nathan says, Stonemaier seems to be very intertwined with Greater Than Games, especially since your recent hire. Any chance of a total merger in the future? That's a great question, Nathan, but I don't know if... I don't quite see a benefit in merging with really any other company at this point. So I love our relationship with Greater Than Games and how they have a great warehouse, and they're in St. Louis as well, so it makes sense for us to outsource that to them. But I don't know, we're totally different companies in the way we operate, and so I prefer staying separate as Stonemaier Games. Anthony says, do I have any additional news on the Canadian shipment of Pendulum? Is it possible that both Pendulum and the Tapestry expansion will be sent together? The latest news I received, let's see if I have any emails about it. Nope, no emails about it. The latest news I had last night, Anthony, was that the air freight shipment has either left Canada or is departing today and could arrive by the end of the week. I don't think that D6 will actually receive it until early next week and be able to start fulfilling those orders. For those of you who are watching this and don't know what Anthony is talking about, it was a very weird circumstance where Panda, our manufacturer, thought that they had sent the ocean freight shipment of Pendulum and the Scythe Complete Rulebook to D6 back in July. And there was an honest-to-goodness human error on the part of our project manager at Panda. He thought he had sent it, and he just didn't. And this person sends hundreds of orders, hundreds of shipments for Stonemaier Games every year. And this has never happened. And he realized last week that he hadn't initiated the shipment. Honest to goodness, human error. But we feel terribly bad for Canadian backers who thought that they thought there was another delay. We thought there was another delay happening, that the shipment was just taking a while. Whereas in reality, it just hadn't been shipped. Our project manager realized that, and he has been arranging an air freight shipment of these products from China to Canada. And hopefully it'll arrive by the end of this week or early next week. Anthony, the other part of your question is, will the Tapestry expansion and Pendulum and the Scythe the Complete Rulebook be sent together? The answer to that is probably no. If it makes sense and everything is happening to be shipped at the same time, we might do that. But for Canadian Champions, at least, the Tapestry expansion is already at the warehouse right now. And so we're going to send your orders to the warehouse tonight so that they can start fulfilling them possibly tomorrow or Friday if they're ready for that. And we have prepared them for that. So we don't want to delay those either to wait for Pendulum and the Scythe Complete rulebook to arrive. So we'll probably send them separately. Tim says he's confused as to what is actually changing regarding sales and Greater Than Games. Well, typically, Tim, it's hard to go into too much detail about this, but typically, like if you're a distributor and you want to buy 100 units of Scythe from Stonemaier Games, instead of going to me, they would go to Greater Than Games and say, hey, I want 100 copies. And Greater Than Games, if Scythe is abundant and in stock, they would say, okay, here's your invoice. They handle the shipment from their fulfillment center, and they send the game to the distributor. Sometimes it's more complicated than that, like if the game isn't in stock, or if they don't have enough of it in stock for all distributors and they need to allocate to different distributors. So sometimes it's just a transactional thing, and sometimes it's more complicated. We are doing all that in-house now. Alex will be doing that instead of Greater Than Games. Shadi says, I saw in the emails that a viticulture expansion is being drafted. Do you know if you are planning a new set of modules or more cards to build on an existing mechanisms? I do know, but I'm not talking about it yet. I do appreciate your curiosity, but it'll be a while. That is just a fun tease that we are actively working on a viticulture expansion that I am confident we will publish, but I'm not going to talk about the mechanisms yet. Yeah. Josh had a similar question about it just after Shadi did. Anthony says, have I played Tekhenu, or am I looking forward to playing? I don't have Tekhenu. I think it's one of the games in like the Tzolk'in Teotihuacan line of games. So I do look forward to trying it. I suspect it'll be maybe a little heavy for my taste in gaming. I like medium weight games. But if it's as good as Tzolk'in, I need to try it because I love Tzolk'in. I did my video this past week on my top 10 favorite games right now, and Tzolk'in was up there at my number 4 game. It was a weird list to do because I only made games eligible for the list if I've actually played them over the last 6 months, which has been, a very odd time to play games. A lot of 2-player games, a lot of games on Board Game Arena, some games over Zoom. And so it was an interesting list to make, but I did make a top 10 list for my favorite games as of August 2020, because it was August when I posted the list this past Sunday. Yeah. That's on YouTube now. It's also on my personal blog, jamiestegmeyer.com. Patrick says, I added the 2... Oh, we got a spoiler there, Patrick. Patrick, I'm going to hide your comment just in case people don't want anything spoiled. But I would say, yes, all factions in Scythe are balanced or are designed to be balanced and played and mixed together with all other factions in Scythe. Christopher says, will there be a viticulture big box to fit everything, including the upcoming expansion? We'll see. We don't have plans for it, but yeah, I'm not entirely against it. And it depends a little bit on what ends up being in the expansion. Yeah. We have started working a little bit on a Wingspan big box with an organizer built into it. A modular organizer. So if you already have a third-party organizer or tray for Wingspan, it will hopefully accommodate that to a certain extent as well. Renee says, another question about Tekhenu. I'm guessing that someone in my group, someone who maybe gravitates a little bit more towards heavier games, will get Tekhenu, and I look forward to playing it when that happens, when I have access to it. Yeah. Cody is here to share video links as usual. Cody, thank you for doing that. He's sharing the link to A Brief History of Stonemaier Games. Another Cody says, can you describe what blind playtesting entails? Yeah, Cody, sorry, I should have elaborated on that. Blind playtesting is when, local playtesting is when I have a game or an expansion and I sit down at a table here in St. Louis and playtest it myself with friends or coworkers. Or I watch it being played in person. Usually I'm playing, but sometimes I just watch it being played. Blind playtesting is when I send the files for a game to people who have signed up and who I've vetted as playtesters around the world. So I send digital files to them, and they print out the prototype. They learn the game from the rulebook, and they play it completely independently of me, and they report data to me via a form and a summary email. And so they are playing it blind. The blind part is that I am not there to help guide them. I'm not there to answer questions. They need to rely on the rulebook, rely on the components. And as part of that, they are asking questions in their feedback form about the rulebook, things that weren't clear in the rulebook, so I can make the rulebook better, and I can make the game more fun and more intuitive and more balanced and more functional. So that's the difference between local and blind playtesting. Tim is excited about the possibility of a viticulture expansion and the Between Two Castles expansion. That one is ahead of schedule, much ahead of schedule of the viticulture expansion. Alex says, when will we see the Wingspan Oceania expansion? We are going to start talking about it in, when am I going to start talking about it? September, next month, September 30th is our next e-newsletter. So that will actually be our charity auction e-newsletter, and when I will start talking about what the Wingspan Oceania expansion is. So for those of you who have been curious about it for a long time, you'll finally start to know for sure on September 30th, and it will be part of our charity auction. So if you're saving any money this year for charity, I know it's a tough year to do that, but we will, part of the auction items that we'll be auctioning off to support a variety of charities selected by bloggers and content creators in the game industry. Part of that will be an early copy of the Wingspan Oceania expansion. Edgar says, are there any games from other publishers that you're looking forward to in the near future? Yeah, absolutely. I have a few, I know Chai is on my shelf. I have the new Magic Jumpstart that I want to try. I have Res Arcana. It's not a new game, but I want to try it. High Rise, I still need to try. I'm excited about those games. What am I? Let's see if I have any outstanding orders that I'm waiting for. I'm pretty sure that there is a game. I still want to try Blitzkrieg. I haven't been able to get Blitzkrieg yet. What is the other game that I'm thinking of? I know I have purchased another game and I'm just waiting for... Pandemic Legacy Season 0. I'm excited about that. I think that's the only one left, actually. No, there's one more. One more. What is this order? And I have Kickstarter games aplenty, too, like Tidal Blades. I'm really excited about that. Oh, Small World of Warcraft. I have that pre-ordered, and I'm looking forward to that. Wayne says, do I think that board game reviews really affect the number of sales your company generates? Absolutely. Yeah. Both the reception, the reviewer reception to our games, and the exposure. I mean, people discover games in a variety of different ways, and every reviewer has a different audience. And I don't always, Tom Vassell, Dice Tower, they have nearly 300,000 YouTube subscribers. Our e-newsletter only has 40,000 e-newsletter subscribers. So there's 260,000 people who are learning about games, not from us, but from Tom Vassell or from the Dice Tower. So I definitely think that both the combination of the exposure and how people learn about the opinions that reviewers express about games, I think definitely have an impact on game sales. Douglas asked if there's news about Wingspan. I'm catching up on questions here, but if you pre-ordered Wingspan from us, we're working on the latest reprint. It should arrive in our fulfillment centers very soon, and we will start shipping it. This is for the U.S. customers. We have it in stock elsewhere, but we should start shipping it from our fulfillment center in the U.S. in a few weeks. And Wingspan Oceania, I will start talking about it on September 30th. Chris added a second cat. Congratulations, Chris, adding more cats to your animal family. That's great to hear. Jan Williams says, I'm wondering if you have ever upgraded one of your games. As a designer and as someone who puts a lot of effort in beautiful products, how do you feel about your games being upgraded? So to the first one, I haven't actually really gone out of my way to upgrade any of my games all that much. Games that I bought from other designers, other publishers, because I run a publishing company. We make some fancy components that I can use in a variety of games, like our treasure chest, our metal coins. So there's some that I've been a little tempted to upgrade. I might do it someday, but I haven't done that yet. As for our games being upgraded, I love that there are third-party accessory creators out there who make cool stuff for our games for people who want them. I think that's great. I think that's great that there's an infrastructure built around our games, especially Scythe and Wingspan, that helps support other creators around the world, and that makes people happier if they're playing and organizing our games. So I think that's wonderful. Edgar says, do I see myself making a game just based on my cats and their adventures? I I don't have any plans for a cat-themed game, but perhaps someday, if it fit into the weight and style of games that we publish. Jerk Jacob says, how do reviews affect you? Are they a big deal? Yeah, kind of related. I guess that's related to the other question asked a second ago. I think they affect any publisher. They impact any publisher. As for me personally, I try not to read or watch or listen to reviews about our products. So I love learning about people's opinions about our games, but I usually look to playtesters and to gamers for that. For reviewers, I want to stay completely unbiased. I don't want to know their opinions about our games because I'm a human being, and I know if there's a reviewer who consistently hates our games, that I will be less inclined to send them review copies in the future. That is my human nature. And so for that reason, because I understand myself as a human, I don't want to know those opinions so that you can get unbiased opinions from reviewers, and that which reviewers I send games to will not depend at all on how they feel about our games. And so that's why I try to stay completely impartial. I don't read or watch or listen to reviews. We have a long list of reviewers that we send games to, and really the only thing that we ask of the reviewers is that they actually review our games. That's really the only requirement. Yeah, that's our current stance on reviewers. I really do appreciate what they do. I mean, reviewers. I know myself as someone who plays games and talks about them a lot on my YouTube channel and on Instagram, that it takes no small amount of work to put together even a blog post or a podcast or a video about games, and to have played those games multiple times to put together some opinions for them, express them to people. That's awesome. I love that reviewers do that. Cody says, which games' stories are complete and you're done creating content for? Sounds like Scythe is finished. Any other games in this situation? I don't think so, no. I don't know necessarily if we will be exploring more Euphoria, say, or more My Little Scythe. But Scythe is the only one that I've said for sure that the story of the tabletop game called Scythe is done. But the rest are kind of open. Yeah, I would say the rest are pretty open right now. Let me jump. I see a question from Mihir has a golfing degree, and he's super excited to try disc golf after seeing my enjoyment with it. Yeah, I've really been enjoying disc golf over the last month. I've had a lot of fun with it, and yeah, I'm curious to see if you can apply your golfing skills to it. Very different sports, but also really nice ways to get outside right now in a way that I think is fairly safe with social distancing. But I play with a few other guys here in St. Louis, and we social distance as we play. We stay away from each other as we're playing disc golf. Let me jump into some other topics so I don't forget to cover the other stuff I wanted to cover today. The main thing being, of course, the Tapestry expansion pre-order. There was a little bit of news about Wingspan Digital in the update, in that the Steam version should be released by Monster Couch on September 17th. I also posted a link to Iron Harvest. Speaking of Scythe and the Scythe world, Iron Harvest is not associated with Stonemaier Games at all. It is a video game that Jakob Brzezowski licensed the rights to his 1920-plus world to a company called King Art Games, and they created a game called Iron Harvest. And it looks awesome. Looks really cool, and it just came out yesterday, I believe. I put the trailer in the newsletter because the trailer itself, even if you just want to see some familiar faces from the world of Scythe in a living, walking, moving environment, check it out. The trailer is really awesome. And what else? Pendulum. Yeah, Pendulum is also, we look forward to hearing your thoughts about Pendulum now that most pre-order customers have received it. We're working on the Canadian ones, but hopefully you're getting Pendulum to the table. You're welcome in the Pendulum Facebook group to share your stories or ask your questions. And if you've played Pendulum, I'd encourage you to rate it on Board Game Geek so we can see what the masses think about it, and so other people can learn from those opinions. I think that's all the main news from the Stonemaier Games e-newsletter this month that I just sent out. I have it on my other monitor over here. That's why I'm looking at it. Games I played lately, kind of had a cat game weekend where I played Wizard Kittens and played Calico over the weekend. And also played more of The Crew. Megan and I really continue to enjoy the cooperative game The Crew, and we are halfway through the 50 missions at this point. What else? I played Clans of Caledonia. In fact, we were talking about Clans of Caledonia earlier. I played that last week at a game night, and also played Lords of Waterdeep at a game night last week. And yeah, that's actually all the topics I had for this week. So I will refer to your questions for the rest of the live cast. Speaking of Pendulum, Nathan says he's really enjoying Pendulum. He says, in my opinion, are the advanced characters more powerful than the basic sides? They, I would not say that they were designed to be more powerful. No, they are. Yeah, they're just more complicated. So they're designed to be just as balanced as the basic characters, but they, there's a little bit more variation in their abilities and their starting resources. That can make it actually more difficult. So if you are a new to Pendulum person and you try to play one of the advanced characters, I think you actually have a higher chance of losing because you don't get some of the nuances of the games yet. But for a more experienced player playing an advanced character against a less experienced player, I think it's just the experience that will do it. That will give them a greater chance of winning than the advanced character itself. Alex says the people on this website, he has some links here, make beautiful boxes for cards for Tapestry and other games. He says they're free to print. Yeah, oh wow. Those are really beautiful card boxes. I like those. Mohammed is having some issues shipping to Saudi Arabia. Mohammed, can you contact Joe at contact@somewheregames.com to see what's up there? I'm not exactly sure if we currently ship to Saudi Arabia. So Joe will have to look into if that is an option on our website right now. Chad says, which Stonemaier game would you say requires the least amount of revisions after the first round of blind playtesting was finalized? Oh, okay, there's a little typo there. Until it was finalized. So the least amount of revisions after the first round of blind playtesters. Which game? I mean, the expansions tend to fall into this category because expansions already have a lot of the stuff worked out because of the core game. But which game? Which game? Maybe My Little Scythe, because Hobie did so much testing during the My Little Scythe process. It still went through changes during blind play testing, but maybe that was the least of all the games so far. Yeah. Martin says, I know you don't use Kickstarter anymore as a creator, still as a backer, but are you against using any crowdfunding methods? One of the main things, Martin, that is the reason that I've moved away from crowdfunding is the gap in time between when we would have the crowdfunding campaign and when we would actually deliver the product to people. Like right now, we have a pre-order for Tapestry Plans Employees, and this is an expansion that we've already made. If you pre-order it today, you will probably get a shipping notification within the next 2 weeks, and I love that. I really, really like that. Compared to any crowdfunding campaign, where if we crowdfunded this before we even started to make it, you'd have to wait probably 6 months before you even had a chance of getting a copy because of all the manufacturing, the freight shipping, all that, all the uncertainty that goes into that schedule. There are other reasons too, but that is a huge reason why I probably will not return to crowdfunding, because I'd rather just make a product that we really believe in and sell it to you and let you have it in your hands within a few weeks. Christopher says, and Martin also says that Monday was his first day at BackerKit, which is wonderful. Congratulations, Martin, on the new job at BackerKit. Christopher says he just ordered Plans Employees. Thank you, Christopher, for doing that. It's nice to see Rolling Realms on the monthly email. Are there plans to include a board that represents Pendulum and codename Gold in that product? I don't want to say too much yet about Rolling Realms, but we are, I guess the thing in the newsletter that you can infer is that we are making a printed version of Rolling Realms that will be considerably nicer than the print and play version, otherwise we wouldn't make it at all, but also really nice. I'm sorry, not nice and affordable, because it is, a fairly light roll and write game. In fact, that reminds me, I need to get some samples on one of the components in that for... yeah, I won't reveal what's in it yet. Yeah, but thank you for asking about that. Isaac says, regarding the Tapestry expansion, are there going to be corrected boards from the changes you made in the original game? Oh, interesting. I just realized something that won't make sense to you all for a few months, but yeah. Isaac says, regarding the Tapestry expansion, are there going to be corrected boards from the changes you made in the original game? So Isaac, there are a few civilization adjustments in the Tapestry, based on data that we've gathered over time. That is available as a printout from our website, and it's on the back page of the Tapestry Plans Employees website. There are no corrected civilization mats. It's just a few changes to set up for a few of the civilizations. And one of the big reasons we're not reprinting new mats, even in the base game mats are staying the same when we reprint Tapestry. is because it's possible we will have more data in the future that requires another change, another small tweak, another big tweak. Hopefully not. We are testing that every time we make a new expansion for Tapestry, or when we made the new expansion. But it is possible, and I don't want to say every time, oh, here's a new version of the Heralds, because we found this one little nuance that needs to be changed. So, so no, there are no changes to the mats at all. Renee also has a question about Tekken. A lot of people excited about Tekken today. Yeah, Renee, I talked about this a few minutes ago, but you may have missed it. But I am curious. I do want to try it, but I haven't played it yet, and I don't have it. Levy is also saying that they're enjoying Pendulum so far. That's great to hear, Levy. Chad says, what's my favorite new landmark and civilization from Tapestry Plans and Ploys? Appreciate you keeping this on topic today, Chad. Although really any variety of topics are great. New civilization. You know, I really like the Islanders. I think the Islanders are a lot of fun to play. Islanders might be my pick. I also really enjoy Treasure Hunters. Oh, and the Aliens. The Aliens I think are a lot of fun to play too. Yeah, those might be my favorites. And the new landmark that, let's see. The Friendly Local Game Store I think is pretty cool, and I also like the tower. I think what the official name of it is. It might be like a skyscraper or something like that, but I like that one too because it's so tall. Kevin says, once the virus is gone, hopefully it'll be gone. I don't know if it'll ever truly be gone. Do you ever do events for your games in St. Louis or surrounding areas? You know, Kevin, we're not really an event-driven company. We have done one Wingspan event in conjunction with the Audubon Center at the Riverlands last year, but we're kind of, everyone at Tomorrow Games, we're kind of introverts. We don't get excited about events, and so it isn't something we generally pursue, no. We do, I mean, there is one event that we host a year called the Tomorrow Games Design Day that is geared towards designers and people who like to playtest unpublished games. And so that is one event that we do run every year. You can keep an eye on it on our e-newsletter. Usually we announce the next year's or the current year's one in March or April. Tim says that he's considering Mariposas in the future. Was wondering what your thoughts on it if you've played it. I understand that it's lighter than Wingspan. He loves butterflies and birds. If you love butterflies, yeah, I would highly recommend it. We played an early prototype of it, and I agree, it is lighter than Wingspan. It doesn't have like the sense of progression that Wingspan has, but it's a lovely game. It's a lovely, it feels good to play Mariposas. I think Elizabeth is so good at making games that just make you feel good as you're playing them. They're pleasant. I have this pleasant, satisfied feeling when I play her games, including Tussie Mussy as well. So yeah, I would recommend it, especially if you love butterflies. Tim says that Pendulum is in his current top 9 list. That's awesome, Tim. Interesting that you have a top 9 list and not a top 10 list. Nelson says, do I know if the Tapestry expansion will be launched in Brazil with Grok/Ludofy? I hope so, but I haven't heard from them that will be the case yet, so I don't know. Eric says that I mentioned that Plans and Ploys is the first Tapestry expansion. Can I discuss if and when a second Tapestry expansion will be on the horizon? I mean, right now I want to stay focused on Plans and Ploys. I will say that is not the last expansion idea that we've had and that I've had, but I have no information or timeline on any future Tapestry expansions at this point. I usually just say this is the first expansion of a game because it is the first expansion, not necessarily because there was a second expansion. Keith is here from Thunderworks. Keith says he also finds that reading, watching all reviews takes a lot of time that he'd rather use working on the next title. Totally agree with that, Keith. Although I would add to that I love watching reviews of other games from other publishers, because that's one way for me to learn about a wide variety of games without necessarily having to play all of them. I love playing games, I love discovering new games, but I'm not going to play all of them. So reviews are a way for me to expose myself to what people like and dislike about other games so that I can learn from that as a designer as well. Just not games published by Stonemaier Games. Sean says, can I briefly explain the shipping options for the Tapestry pre-order? Sean, there was a little bit of, we had hopes of trying something new with the Tapestry pre-order. where you could select different shipping options at checkout. But it turns out that we need more time to figure that out with our U.S. fulfillment center before we can do that. So there are not multiple shipping options for Tapestry or for any products on our website right now. There's just the default shipping option on there. But we might experiment with that in the future. George says he's on a vacation right now, driving through the mountainside and listening to us right now while he's driving through the mountainside. And it was his girlfriend who wrote above. He says he's excited for the expansion. He'll post a picture here to show you some beauty. So we might see a beautiful picture from George below if he can make that work. James says that his kids are loving Wizard Kittens, which is a game that I played this past weekend with Megan, especially with the expansion and chaos mode. Have I checked out Endangered Orphans on Kickstarter yet? I have not checked that out yet. No. What are you excited about that one, James? Rafa says, with the increase in censorship in many areas, does it affect your designs? I'm not familiar with the increase in censorship. Can you share what you mean by that? Pete says, did you see the fan-made scythe expansion that was posted late last week? I did, yeah. The upgrade expansion looks pretty cool. Looked like it would add a bit of weight to Scythe, but I'm impressed with what I think it was Andrew, the designer, maybe put together there. I might have that name totally wrong. Chloe says that she just picked up Architects of the West Kingdom, which was on my top 10 list this past Sunday. She says she's heard that it doesn't play well at 2 players. How do you feel it plays at 2? I actually really like it at 2, as does I think Megan. We played it at 2 a couple times. I do like playing it at 3 or 4. I think it might even go up to 5. But we've really enjoyed it at 2. Yeah, it might have even made my list of multiplayer games that I enjoy to play at 2 players. I can't remember if it actually made that list at this point. Sam says, would I ever consider a new Tapestry deck like the Rhine Valley expansion for viticulture? That's a good question, Sam. Like a whole new deck? I don't know if we would do that. But there are new Tapestry cards in this expansion. If we made a new expansion, that's almost the easiest thing for us to add to a new expansion, to add a little bit of flavor, add some new spark to an expansion. So I don't know if we do a whole expansion that's just cards, but I guess that is possible if there was a special themed pack that and Rhine Valley in particular is one that replaces the current deck. You don't shuffle it in. So if there was ever a really, really clever, brilliant idea for that, I think that's a nice light expansion to add to a game's lineup. Yeah. Steven says that he was hoping to get the Scythe Complete Rulebook, but it's showing as unavailable. Yeah, it's currently sold out, the Scythe Complete Rulebook. Is there a rough ETA for more Scythe Complete manual availability for Canada? That's a good question for Canada specifically, Steven, because we do have different amounts of our products in different fulfillment centers worldwide. The Complete Rulebook is sold out in the U.S., but we do have some in other fulfillment centers that we might let people buy in the near future. But we also, yeah, we'll have to explore that. We'll have to see that. I will talk to my team about that. Yeah, make a note about that. Thank you for bringing that up. Vito says that I mentioned possibly, and actually I should add to that, Stephen, that if we do it, we wouldn't do it this month because people are already placing orders for Tapestry Plans Employees, but we might do it later in the month, maybe to coincide with, maybe later in the month. We'll see how that goes. Vito says, you mentioned possibly getting the rights to Libertalia a few weeks ago. Any thoughts on that? I looked into it, and it's owned by Asmodee. I don't think there's any way Asmodee is going to get rid of Libertalia. So probably not. Maybe I could ask. I didn't even know if I should even ask them because they're such a huge company. But I do love Libertalia, and it would be fun to bring to more people. So, I didn't actually ask them, so I will ask them to see. Mike says that the Scythe rulebook, the Scythe Complete Rulebook, has the textured feel than the typical smooth feel. And it shouldn't be half the pages, it should be all the pages in there. The texture sometimes varies exactly from page to page. And sometimes Panda, I think, prints like half the page smooth and the other, like one side smooth, the other side textured. I don't know why both sides should be textured. But yeah, we definitely chose that paper choice for the Scythe rulebooks because that paper feels really awesome. Donna says she noticed a viticulture expansion on the monthly email. Are there any details I'm willing or able to share? Not at this point. No, it's just that it's a work in progress. I'm excited about what we have right now, but it definitely needs a lot of work. And so I'm always hesitant to share details too early because I could say something now and that thing could just totally be completely untrue by the time the game or the expansion is actually ready. So it's in the early stages of design at this point. But it's far enough along that I'm confident we'll actually make it. That's why I put it in the newsletter. George says, are there any recent interviews or podcasts with you? Probably. What came out this... not that I'm thinking of... I'm not thinking of any offhand. I'm sure there are, and I'm just forgetting right now. There was one with Tim at Meepleville. So if you look on YouTube for Meepleville, Tim and I had a great chat there a few weeks ago, and he posted it a couple days ago. George also says, any... Oh, same question there. Yeah. Richard says, can you wish me good luck? Good luck, Richard. He says he's pitching 2 of his games to board game publishers this Friday at 5:30 a.m. to 6 a.m. on a video call. That's very early. Probably, are you maybe talking to a international publisher there? But yeah, good luck, Richard, with your pitches. If I may offer a little bit of advice, I don't know if you're looking for advice, it's totally unsolicited, but my recommendation for a video pitch is to explain very briefly the main idea of the game, and then go right to the top 3 things that you want the publisher to remember about the game, like the main hooks, the main innovations, the things that make it really stand out that you want them to remember. Talk about them in brief, and then spend the rest of the pitch actually playing through it on video. Take a few turns to show them how it plays on video so they get a feel for it. And all that could be as short as 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes at most. So top 3 things and a little bit of gameplay so they can get a feel of the game. I think that's a fantastic way to pitch a game on video. And you actually don't even need to do it live. You could record it in advance and share it with them and just talk about it on video if you want. Chad says, am I planning on a Stonemaier Games softball league based on the rate that we're hiring? No, we're not. I highly doubt that we will expand beyond 3 people. 3 is a lot even as it is, but I am really happy with our team right now. Yeah. I wonder what sport we would be best at, the 3 of us. Joe is a very good climber, a very, very good climber. Alex has played a bit of Frisbee in his day, and I've dabbled in both. I'm a better Frisbee player than I am a climber, but I can climb a little bit, indoor rock climbing, and getting better at disc golf. But if we had an ultimate Frisbee team, maybe it would be a disc golf team. We could do that, or have a climbing team. One of the 2. Kyle says it would be cool to have a separate set of tapestry cards set in a different universe, like imagining a civilization development on an alien world or something. That actually would be, I actually like that idea, Kyle. That's pretty cool. It could even be in one of the other Stonemaier Games universes. I wouldn't want to burden Jakob with more art for completely separate games. I wouldn't do Scythe, but it could be, and it could be in the Pendulum world or the Charterstone world. Have a set of tapestry cards that are specific to one of those worlds. That could be pretty cool. Armin says, do we ship games to Iran if we buy them online? I am not sure if we ship games to Iran. And really, that is not based on anything political. And we had this question about Saudi Arabia earlier. It's based on our success rate of being able to ship to those countries in the past. And often, in certain countries, we have packages turned away a lot. I believe this has happened in Brazil, South Africa, maybe in Iran, maybe in Saudi Arabia. And so we don't want you to buy a game and then have it be turned away at customs and sent back to us. So I don't know. But if you ask Joe at contact@stonemaiergames.com, he'll be able to answer that question. Zach says, since Rolling Realms includes all of your past games, maybe you would make an expansion that combines 2 of your games, like Mechs and Viticulture. It's possible, like a mashup between a couple of our games. I think if we did that, Rolling Realms is probably like what we will do, what we have done for that. That is maybe the closest we'll get to a true mashup of our games. But maybe, you never know. Levy says that he wanted to give a shout out to Joe for an amazing response he made, and that I should give Joe a raise. That's something that we'll deal with internally, but I agree that Joe has done a fantastic job and has exceeded my expectations this year. And Alex, even just in a short time, has already done awesome things. So I could not be more grateful for what Joe and, did I say Alan? Alan is awesome too, but what Joe and Alex have added to Stonemaier Games in their short time here. Sam says, I know you're not a solo gamer, but have you tried Morton's solo campaign and plans employees? I have not. I love that he made a campaign expansion for it, but And Sam actually says it's the most fun he's ever had playing a solo board game. That's high praise. That's awesome. Maybe I should try it just for that. Oh, Cody even found the interview with Tim. Well done, Cody. You are amazing. Cody is great at posting links to things. Brist says, how often do I sit down to play a game with my family? Well, it depends on what you mean by my family. Megan is my girlfriend, so in a way she is family. We play games at least twice a week, usually, sometimes more. With my family, my mom and my dad, my brother and my sister, we play games whenever we see each other. And with my extended family, whenever I see them, which is usually a family reunion once every 2 years. It was supposed to be this year, but we decided it wasn't responsible for us to do that. Sean asked, could we have a Stonemaier Games indoor soccer team? We could. Soccer is the sport that I am the most experienced at and probably the best at of those sports that I mentioned, but I don't know if Joe and Alex are. Mohammed said he hasn't had issues in the past shipping to Saudi Arabia. So Mohammed, it might either be a new change, and I'm sorry if that's the case, or if it's just a glitch in the system right now. So I'm glad you contacted Joe. Yeah. Brist says, should we expect more of Scythe now that a complete rulebook is out? No, this would be the last time to expect more of it. We wouldn't make a complete rulebook for Scythe if Scythe wasn't actually complete. Eric says, when I organized everything into the pendulum box insert, there are 2 empty spaces. Are they meant to store a player's game pieces, or are they spaces for potential expansions? They were kind of just extra slots. They aren't necessarily designed for something specific to fit in them. I just asked Panda to create some deep slots and then insert to fit a variety of components, whether they're for the core game or potential expansions. But they aren't designed for like a specific thing that we're waiting to release in an expansion. Let me recap, because I think we're at the end of the questions here today. I talked about the Tapestry Plans and Employees expansion, which is on pre-order from our website now. It'll be shipping to you in September. We also have, if you don't own Tapestry, I have a deep sale for it right now on our website if you want to give that a try and add the expansion to it as well. I announced that Alex Schmidt is our new Director of Sales at Stonemaier Games. He'll be working with retailers and distributors and localization partners, and he'll also be our liaison between us and Greater Than Games here in St. Louis. There are warehousing, we outsource them for warehousing, freight shipping, and fulfillment. And talked a little bit about Wingspan Digital, which is coming to Steam on September 17th, according to Monster Couch, the digital developer. And I did post my top 10 favorite games right now, as of August 2020, on YouTube this past Sunday. I think Cody posted a link here, but you can easily find that on YouTube if you look for my top 10 favorite games right now. Brist also asked, do I like to paint miniatures? I must admit that is not part of the hobby that I pursue. I've never painted a miniature before. Chad says, what RPG games does Alex play? I believe Alex mostly plays D&D, and he has offered to let me play a session of it so I can learn from that too, because I've never actually played D&D. So, yeah. Zach has a birthday coming up tomorrow. He says, what Stonemaier game should I play for my birthday tomorrow? What should you play for your birthday tomorrow, Zach? I mean, I would say maybe not Tapestry, since you're probably getting the expansion, and you could play that soon. So go with Pendulum. Go with Pendulum, our newest game. Go with that. Yeah. Chris says, why is Tapestry on sale? Because we thought it would be a nice thing to do for people who want to get into Tapestry right now, because they heard about the expansion, but they don't want to pay a ton of money for that plus the expansion. So we thought it would be just a nice thing to do for new people who want to get into Tapestry for the first time. All right, I think that's it for the questions. That's it for the topics that I have. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, a wonderful week, and thank you if you're joining us for the Tapestry pre-order. I really, really do appreciate that. I spent a lot of time and effort and love working on this expansion, and I am eager to get it in your hands very soon. Take care. Have a great day. I'll see you later. And if you have any further questions, post them on the YouTube version of this video, which I will upload now. Thanks.